Edgar Allan Poe's horror stories are classics, and so are H.P. Lovecraft's. And yet when I say I've written a horror story book, I feel a little like I'm saying I've written a triple X script. The genre has lost prestige to an extent as to almost have none left. And I think I know who's to blame for that. As a fan of the genre, I've watched many horror movies, and I can tell you that 90% of them are absolutely terrible. It's not only that the acting is bad, that the premises are weak, and that the plots are full of holes, it's also that it's always the same five movies. I'm going to describe one as an example. Okay, in this movie we have a group of friends going away to some remote place for the weekend. We're going to call this Group A. Now, this group includes an outsider, typically someone's couple, who's kind of a douchebag. This character will be amongst the first to die, and it will also be responsible for an altercation with a second group of friends that we will call Group B. Now, the members of this second group look like tough guys, but they're not usually presented as evil. They're not murdering puppies. They're just listening to heavy metal or something. Yet when these two groups meet for the second time, the members of Group B are not just happy to punch Group A, but they jump 20 levels of evil and want to rape and murder everyone. That's when the monster appears, saving Group A. Eventually, though, both groups team up to fight the monster. Then the leader of Group B dies, and it's time for the shallowest possible level of social commentary when we're explained that the guy was bad because life had treated him badly. Finally, everyone dies except for one girl who survives but with some problem that makes this not a happy ending. Perhaps she got Hep C or something. How many times are you going to make this movie? The quality of the special effects, and to some extent that of the acting, may be a matter of budget. I understand not everyone can hire Robert De Niro and Dan Catcher. But that's not necessarily the case for scripts, so there you have no excuse. Now, my number one problem with scripts is what I call fictional reality. I'm sure it has some technical name, but I'm not a movie maker myself. What I mean by this is, there are elements which are fiction, and we make allowance for those. We don't expect them, for instance, to follow the laws of physics. A ghost can go through a wall, and that's okay. But there are also elements which are real, and at least I expect those elements to remain real. When a 10-year-old fights a grown-up and wins, when a character makes a decision that makes you roll your eyes, when the premise relies on you not asking some rather obvious questions, well, I find all those things detrimental to the movie as a whole. The only thing that annoys me more than what I call fictional reality is when movie makers seem to know that the movie is bad and they find excuses for it, hiding behind subplots, metaphors, irony, and many other things, none of which require the movie to be bad. You can have all those things in a good movie. So they're not good excuses. I know getting your work criticized is fairly painful, but this is meant to be constructive criticism. It's coming from a fan. Admittedly, a rather querulous fan whose ulterior motive is to convince people to buy his book, but a fan nonetheless. Okay?